Hey folks, Gary here. Happy Thursday morning to you. I hope your day's starting off just fantastic. What a great day to be alive. What a great day to walk with our Lord. Yesterday we talked about Abraham walking with the Lord. Abraham following the call that God put on his life and the faith that it took to do that, because we've been talking about faith. But something we can miss, there's something we can miss in that story. Yes, Abraham was called to leave the land of his fathers, something that was well established, to go to something he didn't know, to go to something that was unseen. That was a promise that God had made to him. You need to travel to this. And so Abraham, in faith, did that. He left everything he had to go follow what God had called him to go do. But what we can sometimes miss is that other people went with him. I'm not talking about all the servants. I'm not talking about Lot, his nephew, or anything like that. His wife went with him. Sarah went with him. Now, was she just simply following Abraham's call, or was there a call on her life as well? And I'd say there's a call on her life. Sometimes in ministry, or everything else for that matter, when you are married, when you have a spouse, sometimes God calls your spouse to go do something that's amazing. And that's really, really super cool. I remember we had a missionary come to speak to us that came from Africa, and they were looking for a teacher. And Marna was a teacher. Marna had her B.Ed, and we really wrestled with that. Would we go to Africa and do this? And my thought was, well, what am I going to do? That kind of thing. What would be my purpose? We ended up not going, but later on, I got called into ministry, and so I left making furniture to become a pastor, and that was a call on my life. But it would be silly for me to think it was a call just on my life. It was a call on my family. It was a call on Marna. It was a call on our children. Everything changed, and it didn't just change for me. It changed for everybody. And then when we had the call to leave Airdrie, a place that we had always known, everything we knew was there, to go to the wilderness of BC. I don't know if it was really wilderness or not. I'm trying to make it sound like Abraham. It wasn't the same thing as that by any means, but still, it was a huge change for us. Now, that was a call on me to go there, but it wasn't just a call on me. It was a call on our family to go there, because the whole family is leaving everything that they knew. Marna was leaving a really awesome job with the Calgary Flames that was really super cool, to go to Creston, BC. But she flourished there. Why? Because the call was on her as well. And so she pressed into that call to go. And Sarah had a call on her life. She was going to be the mother of all the nations. Right? She was going to be the mother of those who would come to know who God is. That said, Abraham, your descendants are going to be, well, Sarah, your descendants are going to be, right? It's because they're together in this. And so there's a call on her life to leave everything she knew, everything that was well established, to go live in the wilderness with her husband, and to be the father of Isaac. The mother of Isaac later on. In Genesis 18, it says this, verse 9. Where is Sarah, your wife? The visitor asked. She's inside the tent, Abraham replied. Then one of them said, I will return to you about this time next year, and your wife Sarah will have a son. Sarah was listening to this conversation from the tent. Abraham and Sarah were both very old by this time, and Sarah was long past the age of having children. She laughed silently to herself and said, how could a woman worn out like me enjoy such a pleasure, especially when my master, my husband, is also so old? Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, can an old woman like me have a baby? Is there anything too hard for the Lord? I'll return about this time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she denied it, saying, I didn't laugh. But the Lord said, no, you did laugh. God is having a good relationship with those that he has called. And we know that, yes, Sarah gave birth by the time the Lord had returned again. She had given birth to Isaac. There's an incredible faith that Sarah is showing. We can see this thing. She didn't have faith. No, she had faith. She had an incredible faith following this call and being what God had called her to be. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, that's the message for today. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you tomorrow.